it's weird because I'm actually on the work computer. I wouldn't have made it home in time.
You're a JD, right? Like you passed the bar and everything?
Yeah, so now I'm fully licensed.
That's so awesome.
Let me find this thing really quick. Yes, it's the Millionaire Podcast. Charles Oglesby, Michelle Welch, the infamous, the famous, the all over social media. Things have changed, but things are, I think, improved, which is really cool. It's not what
Yeah.
we're doing 3, 4 years ago, but you're in a really cool place. I feel like I'm in a really cool place. And the cool thing is we can only get bigger and better from here because that's what we've done so far. So it's going to continue to grow,
I
continue to
mean, the
just kill it.
elevation has been elevating. I mean, honestly, I think the last episode we did was more so towards the end of 2023. And I mean, both of us were completely different people. I mean, I didn't even have hair then. I had a whole baby. I have a daughter now. I have a fiance. I have a
Ah,
family. I am
shout out
no
to love,
longer a
y'all.
single mom. And it's just like life is completely different. The values that I have in business are completely different. The things that I'm doing in business are completely different. Not completely, but they're more well polished, well oiled. And come May will be my 8th year in the cleaning industry. So there has been a lot of like forward movement and just maturity in all sense. Because when we first originally started Todd Capital Mastermind, there was a lot of hustle, grind culture. Like everyone was just like pushing it to the limits. I mean, we came straight out of a pandemic fighting for our lives. So it was a whole different time, whole different mentality. And I just think now it's just things have settled in. The entrepreneurs, the real ones from the fake ones, they've all separated. So it's good to see. It's definitely good to see.
Yeah, those biting years were tough years for me. Market was getting crushed, real estate was getting inflated. It was a crazy time, but I've actually been building some pretty cool things lately. I'm building my own golf brand now, so calling that Equity and Irons.
Oh, that
And
is so dope.
so all the golf content that I put on my personal page, I'm just going to start putting it onto that page. Start creating some more kind of like vlog style content so when I'm playing, kind of creating the content for that. And then of course creating some products and some merch. So I have some plans for merch, shirts, polos, hats, that kind of stuff, and creating some content in terms of courses because I still have to launch the golf course, which has been loading. Um, but yeah, doing that, and then also going to be starting my own firm here. So
Oh,
that's
so
always been the
you
goal.
did you start your firm or you're going to?
So right now I'm working in the firm. I've been working in this. Well, I was working in this firm in 2019. So I started in 2019, and it was probably like late 2018, and I worked here until my son was born. So like late 2020. Then I left, did my own thing, and then I came back. And so I came back, and I just came back with no plans of even being licensed. I just wanted to get back to work because I kind of had gotten bored a little bit. I was
I
kind of
remember
just,
that.
yeah. So came back. I mean, I've had my JD, but I wasn't licensed, and so I worked here. I was working in different roles, consistently getting promoted, consistently getting raises, consistently getting more responsibility, and an opportunity came to get my license, and so now I'm actually licensed, which is what I wanted to do when I got out of law school. Anyway, I
Hmm.
didn't want to not be licensed. You don't go to law school to not be licensed. It's just the bar was kicking my butt. California bar is the most difficult bar in the country.
Jesus.
Um, and yeah, so now I've crossed that threshold. And so that opens up a lot of new doors, a lot of new doors. So excited to see what comes from this. Um, I just think it's interesting because it's like life has valleys and peaks. It's like Jay Z said, like he said, this game has valleys and peaks. And so you're going to go high, you might go low, you go high, you go low. And so like whenever you're in that low point, that's when you're getting ready for that high point. So
I
um,
definitely feel that. Definitely, definitely. It's a good night, sweetie. It's dope because I still have my cleaning business and I am still heavy in productivity. I still do training classes, workshops, all those things. It's just life is so different when you have a newborn. And it's just like life for me, like completely switched. So I literally took maybe like a year and a half off of like crazy, just like going in, really to just kind of like take a step back. I was grinding super hard for like 5 years straight. So I was like super burnt out. And I don't think sometimes we want to be honest with ourselves in a sense of like, oh my gosh, I really do need rest, or oh my gosh, like when there's so many things going on. And at the time, you know me, I had my hands filled with so much, and Nova allowed me to slow down and really like embrace growing up and like learning patience and learning how to really like focus time and energy on the things that truly matter. So it's like I still am heavily in productivity, but it's so much more realistic, like you have to understand like what your body can handle, what you mentally can handle. And so I also went through really bad postpartum. Like it was something I've never experienced before. And I realized that with Landon and Trevor, like I was a single mom at that point in my life. So I didn't have time to deal with processing what postpartum was. And now in this space, like I didn't have to work. I got to enjoy my pregnancy. Everything that I ever wanted is what I had. But it's like no one talks about that part of it and going through that. And so, like, that was very challenging, but it was something that brought me and my partner closer versus us like arguing and, whatever the case may be. So, a lot of drastic changes. I deal heavily now with operations management. So all of the back end, everything that literally makes your business run and flow. That's what I do, like, for big corporate businesses, small businesses. And I'm also the executive director of a nonprofit now. So it's called Global Not Local Cares. And it's where we assist the youth globally, not locally, with different summits for them, youth summits. We have an AAU girls and boys basketball team that is doing amazing. The boys just came back from Puerto Rico. They won the entire championship over there. We have different programs as far as mentorship, life skills, things like that. And so I am spearheading, making sure that everything is in order, getting grants, funding, and all those things. And we're starting off here in Central Florida, and then we're working our way around to the entire United States of having different types of mentor programs in underdeserved schools and things like that. So that's currently what I'm doing aside from being a mom. And yeah.
Still sounds like you're doing a lot, but I think what's interesting
Always.
is
Mm-hmm.
you said that your productivity became a little bit more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of interesting because sometimes our target audience, I mean, you never know where they're at. You never know where they are in life. They might have just had a kid. They might be dealing with postpartum. They might be dealing with whatever they're dealing with. And so, do you think that now you being more relatable is going to help you help even more people?
For sure. 100%. And the thing is that like the stigmas that social media has, the things that we've not normalized, it's like, okay, go back to work after 6 weeks. But like you become an entire different woman when you have a child, and your pregnancy shapes the way you feel after. And there's just a lot of things like support and things like that. One huge challenge for me is I've been no contact with my parents for almost a year now. So I went through my pregnancy, I went through birth, I went through postpartum with just my own family that I've built myself. And it's just like the type of strength you need and the type of things and resources that we need as women going through postpartum, especially women of color, they're not like easily accessed to us. We get looked at a little bit differently when we talk about postpartum to, oh, it's just baby blues. No, I'm feeling crazy and I need you to correct it. I have other children. And then on top of all of that, I also got diagnosed with ADHD. So everything kind of just like hit me at one time. So it was just a lot. And, definitely more relatable. And also like for me, it's allowing me to touch a different part of me than I never did before. I felt like in my past life, Michelle from that era, my short blonde hair, I was living, just at the edge of my seat, no plans, no structure, just wanting to get things done, wanting to kind of like, what is it called? Like, what is the word? Like ruffle my own feathers so that I don't have to deal with reality, basically. Like not really looking forward. So this time allowed me to sit down and heal and like really go through the things that I've gone through in life and just like become a better person. Ultimately, I think that's what transformation and things do. But I'm excited because now I'm finally like out of the deep end of it. So I feel more comfortable to talk about how I went through postpartum. I'm more comfortable with sharing that because like that is like it was a dark time. I don't know if your wife experienced it, but it was not easy at all.
She probably did. she can sometimes kind of keep her emotions to herself. But I think what's interesting is that being a father changes you as a man as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a present father, if you're not a present father, you probably
Yeah.
just it doesn't change much. But when you're a present father, I can say that a lot has changed in me. I can't say that I've went through anything that can even remotely come close to postpartum, but um, I've definitely become more thoughtful, maybe even like more emotional, like um, definitely more kind, more gentle, slower to anger. I think that that's cool is like having kids should make you better. It should make you more mature.
Yeah,
It
for
should slow you
sure.
down a little bit. If it doesn't do those things, then your priorities might be a little bit out of whack.
No, seriously, and it's we just don't think about it. And I'm entering into like my 33rd year of life. In June, I'll turn 33, and I'm like, if I was to guess that this would be my life currently, I wouldn't. But this is what I always wanted, and so your priorities have to change as well. When you commit to being, with one person and building a family and things like that, like you really have to identify like what are the core concepts of the relationship, what are the core things that we're going to invest in. When me and Cam got together, we were best friends first for like 7 years, and it's so crazy because InvestFest 2023, I was supposed to come, but I ended up going to the hospital because I had the flu and I had pneumonia, and he was the person that was in the hospital with me, and you were like, that needs to be your husband. And it's like, look at us now, we're building a life together, and it's just like, you have to just be so intentional. And we merged our businesses. He's a private chef and he cooks for some of the athletes here in the Orlando Magic. He does private events, like very upscale events, but he's an amazing cook. And with my Prima Business Agency, the cleaning company, things that we get to do together, it's really dope, like finding that person that like literally matches everything within business, within life, within the way you parent. Like I really feel like I hit the jackpot because it's like we can open up businesses together. I can bring him into my world and he can bring me into his world. And it's just like we lost the plot of how important really choosing a good partner is. I mean, I lost the plot 2 people ago, but I have somebody now that is picking up the slack of other men. Like those are his children. You can't tell him any different. And it's like women need to just wake up and realize like it's not about what you see on social media. You need someone that's going to have your back. You need someone that's going to be able to step in. Like these 50-50 conversations and 75, like stop. It's We're together. Like that's really what it is. And I'm just so grateful that I can experience this like now from what I've been through. And it's just like really, really dope. And it's like it makes you like have a different perspective about everything, about business, about people, like the way everything just changes. And I'm grateful for it because I love this version of me. I'm like calm and like I don't know, I just feel like I'm just going with the flow more. Like I just it's just different now.
do you think that? Do you think that because when you're with somebody else, you have to make some changes, you have to make adjustments. But I always tell people that like those are actually growth. That's actually improvement. That's
Mhm.
making you better. And a lot of people who avoid those, they also avoid the growth. So it's like if you avoid working together with somebody else, you avoid who you could truly be if you were to just
Exactly.
commit. And I feel like that's what I'm seeing with you because I think that you're more like it's more about the unit.
Yeah.
It's more about what you guys are building, what you guys have. I see you guys are in your own place. You
Mhm.
guys are doing some really cool things, and you built a really complete life.
And yeah, it's just, we've, been interacting in person before. We've known each other for a couple of years now. And it's like, I was firecracker all the time. Like I always was a very alpha. Like I'm very much in my soft girl life era. Like I'm very much in my feminine energy because I have somebody that's leading us. You know what I'm saying? And leading us in a way that I can trust it and I don't have to worry about anything. And I feel like if I'm in that space that I don't have to worry about things, I don't have to do all the extra stuff, like I can really focus on being a better woman, being a better wife, being a better mother, being a better business owner. Like all of that weight doesn't fall on me directly. So I'm able to do a lot of the self development and I'm able to become a better person. I'm able to be around better people, like, a lot of our friends now are like married couples, like people that have bigger businesses and things like that. So it's like you have to understand that when you want better for life, you have to put yourself in those scenarios, in those positions, and with those people. Like Cameron is very soft spoken, but he's very like, oh, like he just takes control. And for me, somebody that's like always all over the place, we balance each other out. I'm a Gemini, he's a Libra. So he's like the complete balance to me.
I don't know
Everything
what
that
that
he
means.
isn't, the horoscope. They say that Geminis are kind of crazy, the two-faced thing. Libras are all about balance. So you mix them together, you get a lot of balance. But for me, like I can go left real quick. I no longer have those triggers. I'm calm. I'm with someone that calmed my nervous system. I'm with someone that knows me and we're able to like build together. And like you said, like it's so important. It's so important to like the person that you're with. I think that's where a lot of people lose it. And we don't fantasize about a life. We create the life and we live in the moment and we keep moving forward. So we're on the same page with everything, which is also like a really great thing. But I don't know. I feel like sometimes God just like puts you with your perfect person and it all works out.
Before I go forward, I got to shout out the Harshimony, and I also got
Yes.
to shout out Roy Red. And we got some solid people rocking with us. Speaking of being around dope people,
Yes.
Art Dog's killing it. Roy Red killing it. If y'all don't know either of these people, if Roy Red hasn't connected with the Heart Dogs yet, y'all need to
Y'all
do
got
it
to make it
because
happen. Let's get it
we got a
together.
lot of dope people. That was one of the cool things about the TCMM and even like the movement that we built during the pandemic was just bringing dope people together and introducing dope people. I did some dinners and I was just introducing people across the table.
It
My
was so
cousin was meeting a
awesome.
lot of really cool people. So I feel like at this point in the economy, it's time to really step on the gas. And so that's why I've been creating a lot more things, building a lot more things, putting a lot more out there because I feel like the market's ready for it. Whereas it wasn't so much so in the last 4 years. I want you to expand on that statement where you were talking about 50-50 and 100-0. Um, what were you kind of trying to say with that?
So you remember the time frame where that was like the talk of the internet? That was the primary thing that people cared about. Women, they love to share their open opinion on it. And I think even in this day and age, you say, okay, well, if we're moving in together, what does that look like? Are we doing 50-50? Is it 100-100? Like, what does that look like? Am I paying all the bills? Am I doing this? And it's a conversation that couples probably do have, like about finances and stuff like that. But I'm just a really firm believer, me and my partner, it's like what we bring in is ours. Like there is no, there is nothing like that. Like we have a joint bank account. All of our like we don't hide anything. There's nothing separate. Like that's how locked in we are with each other. So it's just like the money comes in and it gets paid where it gets paid. Are there months that I have not worked and I haven't paid for anything? Yeah. I mean, I was mothering and doing all those things, but I don't have to explain that. It's just he takes care of it. And there's like it's like an unspoken thing. We don't have to worry about that. I don't worry about finances. He takes care of paying all the bills. He takes care of all that stuff and I worry about everything else. And so it's just like that's what works for us. I don't have to worry about that. I don't want to worry about that, to be quite honest, but it's just like for us that's what works. We don't really go off of like 50-50 whatever. We just the money comes in and it goes out the way it needs to. And I think if more people focused on like that versus like, oh, what am I contributing versus what I'm contributing, things would be a lot easier. You wouldn't have to sit there and break things down. Like we're not at a dinner with our homegirls like trying to break the check down. Like this is our life we're talking about. And I just want to be comfortable. So
I like what you said in terms of like being focused on the goal and the vision for what you're building together because I think that's the most important thing. And that's how I operate in life in general. Everything is about the vision. Everything that I've done in life has been put on a vision board of some sort, which is interesting because it's always the things that I think are out of reach that I put on a vision board and then you look up and you got it.
yep.
And I think that when you're in a relationship, you have to have a vision for what you're doing because that allows you to focus on what you're aiming at and ignore everything else that is not that.
Yep.
So if it's somebody else's comment, somebody else's opinion, friends, family members, because family members have a lot of opinions, if it's not the vision, it's not even being entertained.
At
And so
all.
I think that what's most important is figuring out what works for you and not listening to people on the internet because a lot of people on the internet are stupid. So speaking of the internet, what are your thoughts on the state of Instagram? Because Instagram is not what it used to be either. Instagram is kind of a unique spot. And I think that also kind of slowed down a lot of things. A lot of people had businesses that they were promoting on Instagram, and then Instagram started throttling down their reach. And
Yeah, it's really sad, honestly, because there was a time where you could like post something and 30 orders would come in and they're like you remember that, like it was crazy. And there was just like so much, there was so much big potential. And I mean, with, I think with like TikTok coming in and threads, and like there's so many other options of things opening, they want you to have paid, like they want ads, they want people to put money into it. And it's just like there's some people that still have that leverage, and then there's people that don't. And it's just like, I'm not going to fight with the algorithm. That is why I was so like pressed on creating my presence outside of the internet, because this TikTok got taken down and it was gone. Like, we don't own these platforms. That's why it's so important to have your own digital real estate, to have your own website, to have your own email list, to have those things handy, because it's like, what are you going to do if the internet shuts down? So for me, it's like, yeah, it sucks because my man is a content creator, so it's just like, obviously, if they're throttling back on things, it's going to affect people one way or another. But for me, my focus is always going to be to build outside of the internet, because here today, gone tomorrow. I don't have
Yeah.
time to be trying to work backwards when it's like, okay, let's just get back to how we do traditional business. And I feel like more so nowadays, the pandemic is behind us and people want to see realness. Like, there was so much fraudulent activity. There were so many people that were claiming they were something they weren't, and they were spending that money. And it's just like, now people don't trust it. They want to see results. They want things in paper. They want it in front of them. They want to make sure you're real. So it's just, the times have definitely changed.
And I think
Definitely.
I think that's kind of what I've been pivoting towards is doing business in real life, not on the
Yeah.
internet. And I was telling my mom, it's like everybody wants to have this national, global business when you live in a city that has millions of people in it. Just
Hmm.
dominate that. Go door knock. Go put some hangers on doors.
Yep.
Put some signs up. Make phone calls. Um, Create some events in your local area. I remember when I first started doing like a lot of things with Thai Capital, we were doing events in the local area. COVID kind of shut that down, and we never really started it back up. But what's stopping us from doing it now? The streets need it, and I think that you can have
Hmm.
a much greater impact in your local area than you might have trying to chase the whole country. And so, yeah, I think that you're 100% right, and that's what I'm aiming for, is to do business in your own backyard, to dominate your own backyard, to have your face in your own backyard. My business is really just going to be dominating. There's this area where we are called the Inland Empire, and so the Inland Empire is like this strip of cities in California that's inland of like the outer skirt cities, which is like Orange County, Los Angeles County, San Diego County. And so you go a little bit inland, and it's just been developing and growing so much, like it's almost going to be like its next kind of like major
Yeah.
hub. And so I was talking to somebody, and he was like, "Oh, what do you want to do? Where do you want to work?" We're walking to lunch, and I was talking about the building, the office that I used to have in downtown LA. And he was like, "Oh, are you gonna try to get an office in downtown LA again?" I was like, "No, I just want to dominate my area." I was like, "I want to be the first in my area to build a large scale office building, and then become a hub for other people who don't want to commute anymore. Because you live in the Inland Empire, you have to commute out of there."
Hmm.
And so just spotting that opportunity. And so I think that real life business is where the money's at. You can still make some online business, some internet
Yeah.
business money. I know the hard dogs are killing it. I know a lot of people are still doing it, but I think what's interesting about social media is people can post and say whatever they want. They can comment whatever they want, and that can kind of have an impact on your brand.
Yeah, for
It can be
sure.
completely made up. There's that story about the young man who was involved in the incident, and I think it was Austin, Texas. It was
Hmm.
somewhere in Texas, and he ended up getting out of jail. And then you start seeing these articles like, "Oh, they bought this and they paid that," and it's like you can
I
just post whatever you want to post on the internet and try to tarnish somebody. Thankfully, then you have to respond with your own post, like, "No, this is actually what happened."
Yeah, and it's just, it's so, it's like insane to me. And like, the current political economy is so crazy, and it's just like, I stay completely away from it, because it's just like, for some reason, it brings out different sides of people. And it's like, anybody can be with who they want to be. Like, you can vote for whoever you want, you know what I'm saying? But it's just like, when it comes down to just being a human, like, and understanding that people have different views, values, and opinions, and it's just like, people don't take their heart out of it, you know what I'm saying? Like, they have all this emotion behind it. And it's just, we would be a better place with better people if everyone just like really just worried about governing themselves. Like, that's it. Like, if you don't like what this is doing and that is doing, don't worry about it. The issue with the black kid in Texas, like, when the shoe has been on the other foot, there's not been, death threats to people and all that stuff. And it's really crazy. You just sit back and you're just like scratching your head, like, so they just took all this money and went and bought a house and a car and a this and a that. And it's just like, now this mother has to go up there. She's already facing the world and has to explain herself that no one's touched no money. The CEO of a company actually is saying something because it's like people are getting death threats. And it's just like, listen,
One
something's got to
thing,
give.
one thing that I like, and I have controversial opinions because my politics aren't in line with the masses, is when we tend to be in situations like this where we don't think the government's going to do it for us, we find out that we can do a lot of things for ourselves. And so I thought it was very cool that people spotted something. And this wasn't the first time that it's happened. I remember that incident where there was the guy who left his kids in the car because he was going on a job interview.
Or at McDonald's.
At McDonald's, yeah. Mm-hmm. He was going on a job interview. I'm not sure the details of that story, but people raised a whole bunch of money to help him out. And then this situation happened.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, apparently he wasn't going for an interview. Yeah. But the intent was there. People wanted to help him out.
Yeah.
And so in this situation, people heard about the story. They looked into the facts of the story. And then they came together and they raised a bunch of money to help him fight his case. They didn't protest. They didn't put up signs. They just got busy. And that is what I love to see the culture do. And that's what the culture always does when we realize that we don't got no friends in the White House. Even if they look like your friends, they ain't your friends because you waited 4 years for Biden to do something, and he didn't do nothing. But I think when it's just blatantly in your face, we can do so much.
Exactly.
And that's how I approach life in general. I don't expect anybody to do anything for me. I'm going to get it done by myself. And I've been able to do a lot of cool things because I'm going to get it done by myself. And so I would like to see more of that. And I have a feeling we're going to see more of that because that's kind of the mentality of the times right now is whatever problem it is, the community is going to rally behind it and fix it. And so I think that is the coolest thing because to me, it doesn't make sense to have a whole culture waiting on one person to do something. You got multiple millions of people around here who have money, who have resources, who have connections, who have ingenuity. And that's what we saw when people were creating all these businesses during the, 2018 to 2022 time period.
Yep.
People were like, they're not going to give it to me. I got to build it. I got to fix that problem. I got to create that thing. And that's kind of what happens during recessions as well, which is why I'm kind of looking forward to if we do fall into a recession. I think it's just going to be nothing but opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously there's going to be people that take losses or whatever the case may be, but I feel like if it's all about perspective, how are you going to become better because of the situation we're currently in, or how are you going to progress forward regardless of what the odds are stacked against you? And the fact that we're people of color already, that is number one big odd against us. And it is beautiful to see people rally together and stand up for what is right, regardless of what's happening around us,
and regardless of what other people have to say about what you're
doing. Exactly. And it's just like morality has been at an all-time low for so long that it's like refreshing to see that people are human again. It's refreshing to see that people have some type of like stability, because remember from the pandemic how crazy people were. Like everything was an issue. It was ridiculous. And it's like we're now coming off of that high and going into a whole different zone. Like you have to have some immense growth. Like you have to really be ready to take the opportunity that you didn't take back when COVID happened. Service-based businesses are going to thrive the most, per usual. Like that's how it always works. And it's like, I have a service-based business, and through every season, there's always been a need for cleaning. There's always been a need for someone to, whether it be a house cleaning, whether it be, RVs, boats, whatever, something needs to be cleaned. So think about a business that is gonna allow you to still create wealth regardless of anything. And there's 50 different states. You can open up satellite offices. Shout out to the Hard Dogs, because that's what they do. That's what they teach you. So it's just like you really need to pick up on a skill. And when we had TCM swanging, that is what we still like kept at the forefront of everything. Bruce Hill, one new skill will change your life. I was pushing productivity. You were pushing the stock market. Like there's so many different things that you can get into, and it's not too late. You just need to make sure that you have a plan and you understand where you want to go and what class of people you really want to live amongst.
Indeed. What kind of hot topics have you been seeing?
Let's see. Let's see what hot topics. Because remember Tweet Talk?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody hit me up the other day. They had listened to an episode, and I was like, y'all, you know, that was like 3-4 years ago. Like, what? Let's see. You know, there really isn't any hot topics. Like, I feel like everyone's life is in shambles right now, so no one's really like really joking about much these days.
I have something. I'm gonna try to find it. I know they've been doing a lot of rollbacks on DEI, and there's a situation
Oh,
where Al Sharpton. This is kind of cool. Shout out to StreamYard. Um, what's your thoughts on the DEI situation? All these companies are rolling back their DEI. A lot of people have opinions because they're saying the DEI isn't even necessarily for African American people,
it's
or more
not.
people who are triggered by it. It's a very touchy subject. Um,
Um,
I feel like the only DI you got is to build your own business. That's the DI say. They said it was like dividends, equity, and investment or something.
it's just crazy to think that like anybody will have any type of like fair say when it comes to these corporations. Like at the end of the day, they're all for self. And regardless of what position you hold in the company, regardless of what they say, regardless of their policies, procedures, whatever, like the fact is that Target is not owned by you and you have to follow whatever rules they set in place, whatever they choose to follow. So it's just like build your own. And I mean, either go shop there or don't, but you can't complain about what you can't control. And so that's why it's just like what are you doing? Like Al Sharpton, like they're playing the black card. That's what it looks like. Like you out of all the people you're gonna call, that's who you're gonna choose. Out of all the, you know, people in the black community that are movers and shakers, that's who you choose. And there's no offense to Al Sharpton, you know, don't eat my head apart, but we need to have somebody speak on our generation. He cannot speak to what the people, you know, are going through currently, the millennials and all Gen X and all that stuff. Like he can't help us, you know what I'm saying? We need someone that can speak our language, someone that understands what's going on, because honestly, Charles, we're fucked, like real bad. I don't know if you've seen, you know, what this generation is raising up, but it is not good for us, okay, at all. Like
Yeah, and I think that it's kind of it like contradicts what I was talking about earlier. Like DEI is the opposite of people coming together and solving their own problems
mhm.
and realizing that we can solve our own problems. And that's like the best thing that we can do. And so like the rollback on these DEI programs or whatever, it's just going to create another opportunity. That's the opportunity. The opportunity is the problem. So
And you know, it's just like prior to all of these initiatives and things happening, it was just like no one really cared. And that's the one thing like I hate, like the fake outrage, because it's just like your focus wasn't on this prior. So now like how is it deeply affecting you? Like, yeah, obviously I know these programs are very important and you know they mean a lot, but we have like way big fish to fry. Like I don't know if anyone's really seeing we have like a lot going on right now. And so it's just like certain things I feel like need more people's outrage versus something else. So it's just like you got to pick your poison with these people.
shout out to Brandy
Brandy,
and the car rental company.
it's insane.
I
We have to do a roundup of TCM. Like
should.
I
I've been
miss
meaning to
it.
do that, and I might have to start doing that just from the office. Everything got to get done from the office.
It happened from there at one point or another.
That's very true. A lot of things started in this office.
Dang, it's been going on 5 years. That's crazy.
So it's not a lot to talk about, but there is a lot going on.
There is a lot to talk about. I just feel like we got excited and I was like, let's just do it. Like let's just go out the gate and do it because there's a lot of shit to talk about. Like, you know, as far as where the climate is of business currently, where are we at with what level of business we're on? You know, like there's 4 stages of business development. Like where are we at with it? Like are people still doing what they were doing, you know, 2-3 years ago? Has it elevated? Like where are you at with it? Like I know a lot of people that were entrepreneurs are back in the workforce. Like, what is your situation? Like, there's lots of stuff we could talk about. I mean, we can be more formatted on our next show. I promise that. Like, we will be way more together. You have to understand, like, this was a big thing. Like, we started a whole like thing during the pandemic. We started the mastermind trend.
You know
Like,
what we can
we've
talk
been doing
about
it.
is we can talk about that list that from FeedSpot.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Let me pull the email up.
I got to see if I have that image. See if I can find the website because I did find it.
Yeah, so I was like,
See if I can share my screen. Share screen. Share screen. Where is it? What is it looking like? All right. 80 best Black Wealth Investing podcasts. We have Earn Your Leisure at number 1, well deserved. And then we have some that I'm not even really familiar with. I'm not familiar with Brown Ambition. Definitely familiar with Anthony O'Neill. Not familiar with some of these. By the Hood. You know what's interesting is I was going to mention with this whole situation with the algorithm is I've lost track of Black Wealth Renaissance, man. Like, I rarely see them post anything. It's crazy. Got the His and Her Money, got Black Real Estate Dialogue. I interviewed His and Her Money. Black Real Estate Dialogue is the homie. And then we're down here, around here somewhere.
We're 56, I believe.
But we should be number 1. And so that's why we back on this grind.
Oh, look at Tweet Talk.
Tweet Talk in the building. Tweet Talk in the building, y'all.
That's so dope.
And there's
56. There we go.
I gotta change this. But you know what? I think a large part of it is we haven't uploaded anything in like a year. A year.
If we were to upload it, I mean, listen, I feel like at the level of which Michelle is at currently, listen, let's blow this shit up again because I'm ready. Let's go.
100%. I have an interview with real estate coach Carter on Saturday morning. It's going to be at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time if you'd like to join us.
Yes.
Like 6:30 my time. Going to be talking about all the crazy posts he puts on social media.
I absolutely will join. I love him. He is so great. I met him at when we did Invest Fest in 2023.
Yeah, the last episode before this was like 10 of 2023, and this is when I just started kind of uploading different podcasts from other people's platforms, trying to create the network.
Yeah, well, you know what? Let's run it back up again.
We shall.
We shall do it.
No, they changed it. They made it. I used to upload through what is it called? I forget what it's even called, but now they're owned by Spotify. So whoever did the podcast, it was Anchor. Anchor would do the podcast hosting.
Isn't it River? It's not Riverside. No,
it might have even gone. I think Rivers. I think it's.
Is Riverside like it's different or something?
Yeah, I think Riverside is different. But when I very first started doing podcasting, I used to have to upload it through the RSS feed. It was crazy. It's a lot easier.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they're making everything so much easier, but for sure. So, you know, if anyone has anything that they want us to cover per usual, just let us know. If not, we will bring amazing topics about business, money, mindset, all that great stuff.
We might even talk about some personal injury law.
And, you know, raising children, because that's real difficult too. That's not easy.
I kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit, maybe before we head out, because we didn't get a chance to talk about private school, but you made a point, and you were saying how you get to kind of control the kids that your kid is around.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really important. I put out a tweet and I said that the cool thing about private school, because my son has an assessment, we apply to 2 schools. He has an assessment for one next week and an assessment for the other the week after that. And I was like, the cool thing about your son having to do an assessment is the other kids in there had to do an assessment to get there too, and interviews. And so like when they do these interviews, because you have to go through an interview as well, it's like they're not just interviewing the child, they're interviewing the parent. They're trying to see, are you retarded?
Yeah, it's, and the thing is my kids have been in private school for the last like 3 or 4 years. And my oldest son got bullied in first grade. And that was like it for me. I was like, absolutely not. They're in a public school. And I know that it may not happen everywhere, but it's happened enough and it happened in my household. And so I'm just like totally against it. And, I just feel like there's no money you can pay for like safety. Like that, like I will pay anything to make sure that my kids are getting like the best education, being treated the best, like in the most safest space. I mean, just today there was a shooting in Tallahassee at the college, and two kids died. And so it's just like you don't understand, like people's mental capacity right now, mental space is completely depleted. Like people are like literally like just going crazy. So, if I can control, that my kid's school has an 8-foot fence, if I can control that everything is done by like security and, the initiatives are better and it's safer, cool. I mean, for the last couple years, we've been paying 10K per child to go to school. So, I mean, it's like
I probably
at this
I shouldn't
point,
have used the R word. I apologize, you guys. You're not supposed to say that. But I think that public school scares me because it's free,
scares me as well.
and if it's free, there's no barriers to entry, which means your son, who is your most precious piece of life in your hand, is just sitting next to somebody who their parents don't give a f about them, and that concerns me. Your son is going to be hanging out with somebody maybe because they look the same
Mm-hmm.
and they come from no sort of life anything like yours. And when I was growing up, that kind of was the case. It's like I just hung out with people who, because we look the same, but they didn't grow up how I grew up. And you're likely to get pulled down before you pull somebody up. That's typically how it happens. It's a
Exactly.
lot easier to get pulled down than it is to pull somebody up. And so I like that aspect. I also like the fact that like the school works for you. Like I pay you money, so handle your business.
Yeah.
So even where my son's at right now, it's like if we ever have an issue, it's like, hey, this needs to get fixed. And you make a phone call, and guess what happens? It gets fixed.
100% email, phone call. And these are conversations that can be had at any moment, to be quite honest, because, I'm a very active parent. Like right now, I didn't like the school that they've been at one school for like 3 years, and something happened during Christmas time and I pulled them out, and I'm homeschooling them right now because I'm like, I'm not sure where you're going to go next, but I don't like the way that this happened and I don't like the way they handled it. And
Mm-hmm.
so, for me, it's about me feeling comfortable. I'm no longer in a space where I'm worried about how other people feel. I could care less. I have children that, I have a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old. I have big children. So it's a lot different. But they're going to private school. I'd rather homeschool than send my kids to public school. And my schedule is ridiculous and I have a new baby. And I'm still like sticking to my guns with that because I just don't trust it. Like there's too many instances where it's shown you that people do not care about your children.
Yeah,
Like, and that's cool, but I'm not going to be collateral damage to anybody. So it
yeah,
doesn't matter.
yeah. And if I happen to have that experience, then we'll adjust ourselves accordingly. Rapindo said he saw a post asking if the education is better or is it just aesthetics. Um,
Education
I
is better.
I I've seen where kids who start out in private school and then go to public school are like a grade level or two ahead of where they were. The classroom sizes are smaller. I think they're more
Yeah.
intentional. And then in California, what typically happens, and I think this is true in other states, is a lot of those schools are feeder schools into elite schools. So it's very difficult to go to a great college if you didn't come from one of those schools for multiple reasons. It could just be because you're surrounded by people who are focused on that. It
Mm-hmm.
could be because the curriculum's aimed at that. Nevertheless, I'm not taking any chances. Even if it's the same, I still would rather pay for my son to be in a better environment around kids who care. And yes, there are issues. I know you hear about like kids at private schools like doing coke and stuff like that, but um, ideally that's not the case, and we'll be closely
Yeah.
monitoring all of this.
No. And I mean, the thing is like with private school, it's control. Honestly, that's what it is. I'm controlling my environment that I want my kid in. And it's just, I see the way people raise their children and I just want no parts of that, like at all. And, yeah, it's just one
I
of
see
those
the way
things.
I see the way family members raise their children. I'm like, no.
Yeah, and I'm like, absolutely not, and people have their own style of parenting, and I don't doubt
Respectfully.
anybody, but the way for me and my household, we do things a very certain way around
I see
here.
the way
And
friends raise their kids. I'm like, no, respectfully.
I just don't. There's a lot of things in life I don't play about. Primarily, my children are like the top of the list, and so like there's just no understanding. So it's just I'd rather not put myself in that position because it's not worth it. And it's like I don't know, like we're private school parents over here. We'd rather homeschool than have them around other people. Like that's just what it comes down to. So,
At
you
least
know,
when they're
and
impressionable. It's like when
yeah,
you're grown, I've taught you, I've trained you up in the way that you should go. You can discern good from bad, then okay. But when you are like in your formative years and your friends are going to have just as much influence as, if not more, because I've seen studies that say that like your kids' friends are going to have more influence over them than you are at a certain point. So I want to make sure they're in with kids who come from the right families. Like that's what it is. It's like I'm not necessarily concerned about the kids. I'm concerned about the family that the kids come from.
yeah,
My son, we had a birthday party and we invited like two of his friends from his school, which is effectively a private school right now. And they showed up and they're like a family unit and they just like blessed him and they said nothing but great things about him. And I was like, this is cool because it's like you have your kids that are around other kids with similar values. And that's probably where they're going to end up picking their spouse from. I don't want my son picking his spouse from a girl who doesn't come from that, because I'm more so vetting the family of your spouse as much as I'm vetting your spouse.
it's so
I want to
important.
see what the family is doing.
It's
Is the
so
family
important.
crazy? Because if the family's crazy, you just going to get that, fam. It's going to happen eventually.
You know, and but it can, but if you have a strong woman, like let's say for example, if someone's coming from that, it just like I disconnected from my family because they didn't have boundaries and they didn't know what respect was and things like, listen, you're not going to ruin my happiness. Listen, you are married to my father and you guys have your own life over there, and now I have my own life over here. Like it's just what it is. Like
Anthony Montgomery is 100% right. Now that I'm back licensed, I think we're going to be getting the wife out of the workforce again. Although I think that it's good. She's been growing. She's working in commercial real estate, working on getting her license, working on moving up in the ranks and where she's at, and having her own career, her own influence. But even still, even if your wife is working, you still got to make sure you take care of her. That's funny. People really be watching this stuff. I wish I could take care of my light-skinned wife.
I mean, the whole being taken care of is definitely it's amazing. I mean, I love it. It's awesome. I get to really focus on what my passions are. I get to really like focus on what I want to grow and like what I want to grow, and it just gives you a peace of mind. And when you're building a business from a place of peace versus like pressure, everything just formulates in a different way. So
we went through a situation where my wife was she's at work and her boss was kind of like not being the best. And I was like, well, you can bring it up to their attention and you can talk to them, or you can quit. And she had the option of quitting and knowing that everything would be taken care of. And so she had a lot more confidence going in there and talking to them like matter of factly. And guess what happened? Things changed. And so I think that, like I've said, and I said this on Twitter, I was like, that's why they want a lot of people to be single and independent, because you don't have that luxury. You don't have the luxury of speaking up for yourself. You don't have the luxury of knowing that you don't necessarily need the job. The job needs you. So if they want you, they need to act right and not treat you
exactly 100%.
And so I think that's very important, even being like financially secure. Like when I came back to the job, I was financially secure. And so I think I've gotten all the opportunities I've gotten because I was a lot lighter on my feet. I wasn't this beat down. I was like, these bills will get paid whether y'all pay me or not, which gives me flexibility in my schedule, which gives me flexibility in a lot of things. I think that's why, like, you have to obtain financial freedom, even if you're going to go to work, even if you're going to have a job, you still need to be financially free. It shouldn't be either or. And that's one thing that I learned from becoming financially free is I thought financially free meant golf. And so I was free, but I was bored. I wasn't improving. I wasn't growing. Like I really like flatlined for a little bit. Like I was growing, hit success and just coasted, and actually kind of started coasting down a little bit. And, getting back here helped, and we're gonna just continue to run it up. Like, we're still the same person. Successful people are successful is what I always say. So it's like, if you've been successful, you're gonna be successful. You're gonna continue to be successful, and people shouldn't expect anything different from you. Like, it's just.
I just feel like you get better because you don't have to make the same mistakes. You don't have to go through the same processes. It's a lot different, and on top of that, you grow. And you put yourself in a different atmosphere. You put yourself around different people that give you more access, and it's just like, I don't know. I'm grateful for the last couple years and the things that I went through, and being able to take a year and a half off and not worry about anything. It's allowed me once again to nourish my business mind, to see things differently, to gain a new perspective. So it's only up from here. Like, it's about to be dope.
This guy said the Woodward Academy and Spelman Morehouse pipeline is crazy. What's interesting is sometimes when you like get exposed to different things, the people who weren't exposed aren't going to get it.
Yeah.
And so if you like try to share that with them, they'd be like, that doesn't make sense. Blah, blah, blah. Private school's not worth it. But you ain't been exposed to what I've been exposed to.
You ain't never even been there. How you even know what a private school feels like? Like, come on now. Yeah, I was private school my whole life. Like, expensive, crazy, ridiculous.
I think that this is true not just in terms of private school. This is true in terms of wealth. We went through a situation where, and I want to get your advice on this. So I've always been the person that said, and I'm going to get the chat's advice on this as well. I've always been the person that said, don't sell grandma's house. However, my dad recently passed, and he has a house in Pensacola. He bought the house a year ago. He paid $300,000 for this house. The house is worth maybe less now. I think he probably paid like $260. It's worth like $260 because it hasn't appreciated in value yet. So if you were to sell it, you take a loss because you have the seller's commission and all that stuff. The rental market in that area is going to create a net loss per month of about $500 because it's not renting for what it's worth. So my question is, should I keep it, take the loss on the rent, or just sell it at a loss and just kind of, or let the bank take it back? Because I feel like I'm contradicting myself, but I feel like it's different circumstances because typically grandma's house, I appreciate that. Grandma's house usually has equity. It's paid off. It's in a great area. And I've been conflicted. I've been going back and forth on this for some time.
Honestly, Charles, my honest opinion, that's not really grandma's house. That's dad's investment. And an investment is supposed to yield more money, more return. And if it's not, then it's not helping you. It's negative equity, and it's a lot more on your plate than what you need, honestly. And you're on the opposite side of the world. And so, and on top of that, we have horrible hurricanes, and a lot of bad things can happen. And honestly, I feel like you should pull out while you can, no pun intended. Like, you go get out of there. Like, It's not like you can, you could rent it and things like that, but the amount of maintenance to put up, and then you're going to have a property manager because you're obviously not going to be able to come very frequently. So honestly, if it's, I feel like when it comes down to like giving it back to the bank or selling it, like whatever option is going to benefit you the most is what I would do. That's because it's not grandma's house. It's not Atlanta. This was your dad having a great time while he was still here. So.
Exactly. And I think that's kind of the conclusion that I've come to. Some people agree, some people disagree. But it's different circumstances, and you can't just take everything as like a blanket black letter rule. Like, oh, somebody passes, you keep their home.
Yeah, no.
And so they're like, my grandma was like, who's gonna pay the mortgage? Like, I got my own mortgage to pay. I got my own bills to pay. I'm not just gonna. If somebody passes, I shouldn't get more bills. That's like outside of like the obvious stuff. So like, we took care of the funeral, we took care of all that stuff. Like, that's understandable, but I don't know.
I honestly, the thing is I feel like if something is going to be more of a headache than a help, or more beneficial, that's the route to take. Like, life is supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to create bigger problems. Do you still have that Detroit house?
Got a bunch of Detroit homes.
Yeah.
I got the main house. I have the main house that I've been. It's been on the market. but I'm probably going to put some more work into it to get it sold for what it's really worth. I have a rental out there in River Rouge, and then we have a bunch of the properties that the group owns. So trying to unwind the homes that the group owns. But yeah, I have 2 personal things out there.
Yeah, I would
wrap it. No, the house is not paid off, but I see what Brandy's saying because you could wrap it. So you could seller finance it, wrap it, charge more, and then net off of that. And that's a great idea. That's a good idea.
I would always just say go with what's easiest.
You got to do what makes sense, not what people just think you should do off of principle. Because,
it's a big lesson.
Like I said, it would have been way different if you bought a condo in Atlanta that we could easily Airbnb. We could easily use if I'm out there. I might even try to move out there for 6 months out of the year. You never know.
Even South Beach, but it's Pensacola.
Yeah.
Key West. But, you know, the thing is that, you know, I'm sure your father is up there and he's like, please just do what's easiest for you.
Yeah.
Like, do what's going to work for you.
Yeah.
Listen, it'll work out. It'll all work out.
I just want to make sure I wasn't crazy. I actually wanted to ask Andre C. Hatcher. I don't know if he's on here. He's not, because if he was, he would have commented. But I was genuinely curious what he had to say about that. I was probably going to call him. But, yeah, it's tough because there's no equity in it. Like, if there's equity, if he'd been living there for 10 years.
Yeah, it would have been different.
Like, it's a different conversation. Then you want to retain the equity. And there would probably be some cash flow potential.
Yeah.
Well, that was our update into our lives. We're going to be back doing this once a week. What's today? Thursday? We can do it every Thursday.
Yeah, we can do it every Thursday. That'll work.
We're going to have some guests, of course. Start bringing some more guests on.
Yes.
Got to get Rapido on, Brandy on. Shout out to Anthony. Shout out to Diara. I think I said that correctly. We appreciate you guys for tuning in with us.
Yes, thank you guys so much.
Hopefully you guys got some value in this conversation, even if it was just my crazy rants. But I'm about to get on the road to go home. It's 7-Eleven out here, and it's 10 o'clock where you are. Any last words?
Just woke up. Any last words? Nah, like, it's just choose what you want to do. Choose peace, choose joy, choose to just every day give it your all. Like, I'm so excited to be back and full force. I'm ready to bring back some TCM moments and like really just get back into it, because we got to be prepared for what's about to come up, and there's no better way to get prepared than with Michelle and Charles.